I'm just testing it. So I guess it's recording. I'm not sure.
No. Yes,
Not yet.
it's working, yes.
Oh, okay. So I can say pause and stop, right?
Yes.
So right now it's recording, so I'm going to pause it.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm Sarah Nadeev, and I'm honored to welcome you all and our panelists here today. I serve as the past president of the Rotary Club of Washington Global and the secretary for the Rotary Fellowship for Global Development. And it's a pleasure to host this important conversation. Today's webinar is a collaboration and really the shared vision of the Rotary Fellowship for Global Development and the Rotary Action Group for Refugees, Forced Displacement, and Migration. These are two Rotary affiliated groups that actively collaborate with one another. We even share board members, and we work hand in hand to advance our missions through the Rotary Network. We're also honored to be joined by UNESCO's International Institute for Capacity Building in Africa with our partners here. Together, our organizations have come together around a topic that could really not be more timely or important: the vital role that local organizations play in serving their communities and driving meaningful, lasting change. We're facing complex and interconnected challenges right now, and it's often the local actors that are deeply rooted in the realities of their communities who are in the best position to lead. So with that, I'll turn it over to Luis to introduce our panel and start our conversation.
You are muted.
Of course I am. Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm Luis Torres. In my 15-hour-a-day job, I'm the founding dean of the School of Social Work at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, here on the U.S.-Mexico border. And in my 24-hour-a-day job, I'm a Rotarian. I'm the past president of the Mission Rotary Club and the assistant governor for Area 11 in District 5930. And our district governor-elect, Dr. Elaine Hernandez, kindly asked me to moderate the panel, and I can't say no to Elaine, so here I am. So we have a spectacular group of presenters, and I want to just jump right into it. And I believe, Dr. Hernandez, you're going to go first.
Yes.
Let me load your slides.
And hello to everyone. What a wonderful day, and to see all of you from many parts of the world. Today, I'm going to begin this conversation about strategically positioning our local Rotary clubs as a local asset. You know, we're trying very hard to grow our clubs here in South Texas. We're located right at the tip of Texas, as you can see from the illustration. And so it's important that our clubs and our members are recognized as really being a local asset to education, to government, and to other nonprofits. Let's move into my story to the next slide. The first story I want to talk to you about today is about a global grant that we received, just over $50,000. We submitted it in 2021, and it's just about to end now, and it's called Growing Next Generation Farmers. And this is a community economic development project or focus designed to increase awareness of local agricultural practices and new food production technologies, while developing a new school farm. And we're doing it in partnership with a local school district called the Mission Consolidated Independent School District. Next. But what's been so interesting about this project, it's more than an agricultural program. We are growing more than new career opportunities, and we're growing more than fresh produce. The students have really been developing new attitudes towards life, new healthy behaviors, and new connections among themselves, and with a new sense of hope for the future. This is important because this project came right out after COVID, when everyone had been so isolated, and they came back to high school. They were disconnected. They were, really anxious. And we found that this project has really had a positive experience on them. Next slide. You can see our project provided 2 greenhouses and an agricultural drone and an all-terrain vehicle for the school district to begin its farm, a new farm. But they never actually could start the farm. And so initially we've been using school gardens. And here's a picture of them growing some vegetables. And here they are beginning to plant things in their greenhouse. Next. And we collected some wonderful stories from our students. And here's an example of a 10th grader, Diego, who said, "I've always been curious about what I can't see with my own eyes. I enrolled in the farmers program to become a certified drone operator. With a drone, I will be able to see the whole community from an eagle's view. Having this certification will open up career opportunities for me in the future, while also giving me important technical skills I can use while in high school." Many of our students have got certifications now, official certifications as a drone operator, and they're being hired by farmers and by other organizations who need this skill set. So they're getting part-time jobs on weekends to help with the other farmers. Next. But it's not just about, you know, those professions. I was really fascinated how a young lady, Daphne, in the 12th grade, she's going into cosmetology, but she drew another learning out of this program. There's a golden crown in the center of this pink flower, showing the simple beauty found in nature. Like this flower, I want to help people find their natural beauty through the art of cosmetology. This career will help me to help others to grow their confidence, just like our school garden has done. It truly is amazing how these students have grown confident. Let's see, carry on. So I really want to share the story of Marcos. Marcos was a 10th grader who joined, and he came into the program very insecure, no friends, very overweight, and he tells us in his own public speaking that he even attempted suicide. That is how depressed many of the students coming out of the COVID era were. And here we've written, Marcos entered the farmers program in 10th grade, and it transformed him into a confident 12th grader now, president of his high school horticulture club, public speaking contest winner through Rotary, and now a panelist at a food summit forum just recently. So Marcos claimed that the farmers program helped him find his voice. Boy, he really has grown and matured during this by being exposed to this. Next slide. And here was his photo voice poster that he wrote last year in 11th grade. In the past year, through participating in the farmers program, I grew more confident, spending more time outside and losing over 140 pounds. I have attended many events, including conferences, because I learned to say yes to a new opportunity. This has led to some of the greatest memories of my life, like winning a Rotary public speaking contest. My happiness has never been higher, and I don't plan to ever stop saying yes. This is the impact of being outside in the sunshine, working with your hands. Next slide. And so here, finally, after 4 years, the school district has finally been able to install a sprinkler system on their farm. And now this farm will start operating this fall. So we'll move from the high school gardens, and students will be bused, and they'll be transplanting seedlings that they start in their greenhouses, and they'll take them over to the field. It's taken 4 years to turn this concept into a reality, and it has been a real struggle, but people were determined to see this through. And right at this time, it is so important because there are funding cutbacks now in the child nutrition programs here in Texas. And so that means there's either less food to be served to students, or students are going to have to pay for their food. But now, because of this program, the Mission School District cafeterias will be able to grow their own fresh produce. It's hugely important down here in South Texas. Next slide. And why this is important about positioning us as a local asset is that now we are being recognized by Region 1, which contains 38 school districts, 10 charter school systems, 439,000 students now in 7 counties, but they recognize Rotary and Rotarians as advocates for farm to school programs. And we want to help the other school districts to expand and also offer the opportunity to grow fresh produce at their schools. Next. So the first example was of a global grant. This second example is of a mini district grant, and it's a multi-club district grant. It's only $6,200, but we have partnered with the Hidalgo County Community Service Agency and again with Region 1 Education Service Center, and we are supporting 31 what's called disconnected adult learners. Here in our county, we have over 25,000 18 to 26-year-olds who do not go to school and they're not working. They are disconnected. So through this operation, Reel 'em In, we are trying to help the Hidalgo County Community Service Agency and Region 1 to reintegrate youth back into school and back into the workforce. Next. And Region 1 talks about the fact that we have that 30% of the youth in South Texas lack a high school diploma. That's a huge number. And many of our youth are, experience high poverty, low family support, and they have what's called economic responsibilities, like they're raising their own families. So this all has an impact on them being re-engaged. And then finally, many of these students experience trauma and anxiety and social isolation. So this program is reconnecting these young adults back into society through the school system. Next. And so here you can see, they've faced barriers like unemployment and homelessness and educational barriers. And now they'll be able to complete their high school diploma and go on to post-secondary credentials and job training. Here is a photograph of us handing out these incentive cards of $200 from some Walmart gift cards. There was a young man who asked permission with this $200. He just has been moved from being homeless into an apartment that the community service agency arranged for him. But he needs bedding and he needs cutlery and things for the kitchen. So he is using his gift cards for that. Next. So here we really are beginning to be seen as a community asset by partnering with very important organizations and agencies. We are looking for local solutions to local problems through partnerships. And especially we've been asked to help support mentor these young people. Next. So these are 2 examples, a global grant and a district grant that brought all the clubs together in our county and has begun to position Rotary and all the Rotary clubs as local assets. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hernandez. We're going to have ample time later for discussion after Peter Kyle ties this all together. So next, we're going to go to District Governor-elect Alma Garcia Betancourt from District 4130 in northeastern Mexico, from El Club Rotario de Matamoros, just across the border from Brownsville, from our Brownsville campus, Alma, why don't you start while I load your slides?
Okay. We put the first slide, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Para allá voy.
Good morning.
It is wonderful to have Alma join us today as the district governor-elect from 4130.
Yes, I'm
Bienvenida.
morning. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Elaine. Thanks for all of you for inviting me for this webinar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Alma Garcia, and I am a governor-elect for Rotary International for District 4130 for the next period for 25 to 26, together with Elaine. We work together in this project. But a part of this my life, I'm part for the Industria Maquiladora in Mexico for more than 42 years. We have a long experience in human resources, and when is to work with all the people in all the north of the Mexico. This is a true honor for to speak with you today behalf for Rotary International. That Rotary International is a global organization deployed commitment to humanitarian service. We are here to discuss a topic to affect all of them. This is responding to natural disasters. That's for the next slide, please. And the next is what part of the Rotary means this service. This Rotary is dedicated to cause that build international relationship, improve life, and create a better world. Rotary concern on a specific cause in order to maximize our local and global impact. The main impact is global impact, not just a bigger impact for all the world. It's what means for Rotary the service. And then for the next slide, this is we need to know is has a climate for the this climate changes accelerate. That's a frequency and severity of natural disaster have grown. We know about that. If some people is not believe in this, but that is really, and we need to work with that. That is the reason that Rotary International, with over like 1.2 million members around the world, stand ready to respond when a crisis strike. We are ready. All of them in all the world, we are work together to respond in just in this case. This is our members are not just to observe. They are present on the ground, taking action. We are taking action to help community. That is the main reason for Rotary around the world. For next slide, please. In this Rotary, in case of the disaster, Rotary, what does Rotary do? We divide the three phase or three steps: immediately, short term, or long term. Why the reason? Because we need to immediately, when all the local clubs in partnering immediately offering helping hands and supplier. This every time when we have crisis or what this disaster, we attend immediately. Short term, where club industry help affect community, is we need to know the statistic, we need to what is happen on the city, and we need to look at reforms or funds material to reestablish day per day all the operation. And long term, we need to create like a special project, like Elaine said, few minutes related for to know what is the impact of the community in related for this project. We need to know what needed the city, what needed the community to apply this project. When we need to know all of them, we need to submit the special project, and then we need to obtain resources to apply in this project. For the next slide, please. The disasters without warning. As an example, headwaters, a flood, or like this season, hurricane. We start the hurricane season in this area, the north of the Mexico, because we're close to the Gulf of the Mexico. Each can change life in minutes. And then in this minute, we need to prepare. We don't have any preparation or external preparation to support this event. And then this Rotary, we need to create like a flow for this project. We need to create what is starting, what is to finding resources, we need to evaluation, and then what is to implement that project. This slide is a big example that we need to use recently in this case. And the next slide is, let me share like a recent example that we captured the essence of this spirit. The next slide, this is in March for this year. This is for the city of the Reynosa. Luis, can you change the slide for please? This is for this in March of this year. The city of the Reynosa, Tamaulipas, is part of the north of the Mexico, very, very close to a Limehouse, close the one. This is was overwhelmed by big storm brought over more than 12 inches of continuous rains, causing one of the worst flooding in the history of this city. We can't believe that impact for the part of the USA and the Mexico, because only we divide the river. But this is this is the Reynosa under the water. This is the main news for all the Mexico and the south of the Texas. For the next please. The damage was severe. Weekend time flow was extraordinary. La collective action. All the maquilas, all the volunteers, all the partner organization came together within days. We need to distribution food, clean water, hygienic kit, and medical aid for all the 100 or family. More than 75 sector is under the water. And then this immediately, all the Rotary, a helping hands for all the people, and share compassion, but truly made a difference. I like to speak with this topic because we need to work together for all the community, for all the people. It's working, no work, the city governors, we have all the support. I had tell this story more personally. Today, I invited one person that is Rotarian, but he lived direct this effect on Reynosa, Tamaulipas. I don't know, it's Rodolfo Torres on, is Rodolfo Rod? Is on, I think so. Can you open your phone, Rodolfo? Okay, that's I don't know, it's Rodolfo on the line, but this is experience in Reynosa, the perspective. Rodolfo?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good morning.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Rodolfo Torres is the president-elect for one of the Rotarian club in Reynosa, but Rodolfo lived this situation in that's in your house and the community. Can you change the last slide, please? Okay, Rod, can you share your experience, please?
Yeah, good morning to all. I am Rodolfo Torres, Club Rotario Reynosa 76 in Reynosa. It's very important for explaining the natural disaster in Reynosa. That destroyer very much house in the city, living more in the homeless than the 20,000 people in vulnerable in Reynosa. It's very important for the city images, the coordinator for the Rotary Club and the more Rotarian Club in the 4130 for the help in the people. It's it's very, very sad. I need help and the other people for the other organization, and they can see the photography is very so much water. And another sector, and the poor people is destroyed totally the house. And together, the Rotary Club and Rotarian Club and the city and the Monterrey, San Luis Potosí, my district, it's strong, but I need more help, right?
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. That's okay. Thanks. Hold on, Rod. This is part of the today. This is part support for the network. This is the effort matter. This is when the bring or the strength together results are not effective. This is data transformative. That's transformative is Rod explained. That's what we need to do is we have part of this support for this city. Rotary does not work alone. That is main important. Rotary is not work alone. We build a partnership with individual organizations and communities. And every time disaster strike, we are reminded and one power through. Together, we are stronger is doing a good. What is the reason for this? This is help when you can. We talk about for maquiladoras in Mexico, but we can to talk about for individual maquiladoras. What is the reason? Because all of this is part of the association, but we represent together, no one of them. We have to support of the city. This be there when you can. We need to, when you can, in this moment, the city of the Reynosa need this support. This is part of the life. We need to support, is vital support for this city in this moment. For the next slides, that is for this is Rotary, together we connect. We connect for unit for to good. Unidos para hacer el bien. This is part of the life. That is part of the we need together, we connect. That's an example for today. We connect for all the world, for different countries in this webinar. Thanks so much for your attention. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias, Alma y Rodolfo. Thank you so much, Alma and Rodolfo, for sharing. You know, this entire region here on the U.S.-Mexico border is a very fluid, binational, bilingual, bicultural region. And what happens on one side of the border impacts what happens on the other side. So there were many of the families that we work with who were impacted on both sides of the border. So I really appreciate you bringing some awareness to this issue.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll talk some more about it later when we have discussion. Rounding out our trio of district governors, we have, we're going to Southern Mexico now, to Oaxaca. District Governor-elect Gerardo Corres Tenorio from District 4195 del Club Rotario de Oaxaca, and he's an architect. And his presentation is Rotarian Supporting Local Humanitarian Programs for Families on the Move, a case study from the Mexico-Guatemala border. Gerardo, en lo que subo sus diapositivas, puede iniciar si quiere. Me va a tomar un segundito para compartirla.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you, Elaine. Congrats, Alma. You did a very nice presentation. And of course, we are in Mexico. We are here this morning to District Governor-elect, one from the north, Alma, with the on the border with the United States, and me in the border with Guatemala. Our district is all the south of Mexico. Beautiful cities, beautiful beaches, beautiful mountains, but a lot of situations that we have to take care of it. And this morning I will do this presentation in English, a little part, and Spanish for you. And I hope we can touch your heart, and we hope we can work together and we do projects or a global grant to help these people that we have here in this part of Mexico. So thank you very much again. And if you can change the slide, please. Ok, es muy importante revisar la migración. Es un fenómeno muy complejo y obviamente lo primero que necesitamos es tratar de inhibirla en la posibilidad que se dé, siempre revisando que todos somos migrantes en un momento. En el sur de México inicia este recorrido que hacen hermanos de Centroamérica, de Sudamérica, inclusive de países muy lejanos que pretenden llegar en algún momento a los Estados Unidos. En esta parte de México inician su recorrido con muchos problemas y, como decía, lo ideal es inhibir esta migración apoyando en sus países proyectos que provoquen mejor calidad de vida.
Luis, can we interpret?
Okay.
So this has been a very fine introduction to this problem or the issues at the southern border of Mexico, Guatemala. You know, Gerardo was saying we're all migrants. We've all traveled, we've all moved. You know, and this issue of migration is complex, as he said. So we'll see that as he speaks Spanish, we do have the English translation also on the slide. Luis, do you want to add anything to the beginning of your story?
Thank you, Lane. Thank you.
Yeah. Me pide Lane que según vas elaborando, que si puede interpretar un poquitito, yo con mucho gusto. Así que adelante.
Muchas gracias, Luis. La siguiente. En México se implementan diferentes programas ante esta problemática de la migración, pero los esfuerzos son definitivamente insuficientes. Hay momentos durante el año que hay poblaciones que casi duplican la cantidad de personas que viven en ellas por este fenómeno. Nosotros tenemos la frontera con Tapachula, principalmente en el estado de Chiapas, y de ahí empiezan este recorrido e imaginen ustedes que tienes pues casi el doble de la población en un momento dado, con qué servicios atiendes, con qué puedes tú hospedar, con qué infraestructura puedes tener servicios sanitarios, ropa, y en estos casos lo que más resiente el problema pues son las mujeres, los adultos y tristemente los niños. No sé si comentar algo, Luis.
Sí, claro que sí. So, you know, the gist of the conversation is that there are services available. That's a really important point, because sometimes we have the impression that nothing is being done. There are services available, but the need of these communities is much greater than all the services that are provided. There are some communities where when the waves of migration come, the population of the communities double. And so where do you find the resources to have sanitary conditions and health conditions and other kinds of services for these communities? And then sadly, something that we know from human mobility all over the globe, the most impacted individuals are women and children and older adults. And so I think what he's trying to say is that we need all of us to try to address these tremendous challenges. Adelante, Gerardo.
Gracias, Luis. Ahí ven una imagen de un primer caso que tenemos registrado en nuestro distrito, es en la ciudad de Tapachula. Esta ola de migrantes pues están siendo ayudados para alimentarse, que es pues una de las necesidades básicas para poder vivir. Entonces, los rotarios se unen y contribuyen en la medida de las posibilidades, ayudar en esta acción básica que es poder comer, ¿verdad? La que sigue.
The photo that you're seeing is in Tapachulas, and it's a group of Rotarians trying to help a wave of immigrants, of people on the move, with one of the most basic needs that all of us have, which is food, being able to sustain yourself, to nourish yourself.
Por lo tanto, es claro que Rotary tiene una línea bien estudiada y trazada a partir de diferentes proyectos. Como decía, en una primera acción de prevenirla, de mitigarla en la manera de lo posible. Y como todos sabemos, hay programas de promoción de paz, de salud y bienestar, educación y desarrollo de habilidades y de desarrollo económico local. Esta sería una primera conclusión. En nuestro distrito estamos dando prioridad desde hace algunas generaciones, 2 o 3 años, a promover mejores condiciones para que los migrantes tengan una opción o quienes piensen en migrar tengan una opción de quedarse. Y nosotros sí hemos podido medir, especialmente en mi estado, Oaxaca, sí hemos podido medir que ha disminuido el número de personas que han intentado irse. Y esto lo subrayamos porque sabemos que en México hay estados con muchos problemas de seguridad, pero el sur de México es una de las zonas más calmas, si podemos decirlo así, ¿no? Oaxaca, Yucatán, Quintana Roo, bueno, Campeche, que es un estado el estado con menos migración de México, la gente se queda, trabaja, tiene su propio desarrollo y no piensan en irse. Chiapas, tenemos esta fortuna de vivir en una de las zonas más pacíficas de México.
Si me das un momentito para resumir. Gerardo is speaking of Rotary initiatives or Rotary projects that have that beautifully intersect with the work that we need to do in human mobility and migration. And he lists, for examples, peace promotion, health and well-being, education and skill development, and local economic development. Those of us that are in Rotary know that Rotary works in all these areas, and these are the critical areas for assisting communities on the move. On the last one, local economic development, we highlighted the importance of that one because people need jobs, right? People need to be able to support themselves and their families, and people also need safety and security, right? People don't leave their communities if they have a way to support themselves and they have a way to live in safety and security. And Gerardo was saying that Central Mexico, Southern Mexico, although Mexico as a whole has some security issues, there are communities, especially in Central and Southern Mexico, that are known for being much safer For example, you talked about the state of Campeche, which is one of the states with the best safety record, is also one of the states with the least out migration. So if we can work on developing economic opportunities and increasing safety, people will stay home. Adelante, Gerardo.
La siguiente. Apoyar a los migrantes y los refugiados es un programa de Rotary, está dentro de su agenda. Y quiero recordar a Elaine, a Alma, cuando estuvimos en la Asamblea Internacional en Orlando, en nuestra capacitación, tuvimos una reunión, todos los gobernadores electos de las diferentes zonas de América, y justo uno de los directores dijo que piensen en un programa que podamos trabajar juntos. Y Elaine recordará que yo tomé la voz y dije que un problema común en nuestra región era precisamente la migración. Y bueno, con muy buen tacto, creo que varios de los gobernadores nos interesamos porque es increíble, pero es realmente un hilo conductor. O sea, esta situación no solo está unida físicamente por la ruta de la migración, sino nos une porque somos hermanos todos y tenemos que de alguna manera ayudar. En estas imágenes que ven es otro caso en una ciudad que se llama Tehuantepec. Está ubicada en el istmo del mismo nombre, en Oaxaca, que es el punto donde los migrantes inician el recorrido por tren en este ferrocarril que se llama La Bestia, que es un ferrocarril donde la gente se sube en condiciones muy peligrosas y de ahí arrancan por tren para ir cruzando todo México. Los invito a que, no quise poner imágenes porque yo soy muy sensible y me duele el corazón verlas, pero los invito a que vean imágenes que están en la nube de esta situación que se da de cómo viajan en La Bestia, este ferrocarril que pues hay muchas vidas que se han perdido en el viaje.
Gracias, Gerardo. Another was saying that migration is the common phenomena in all of our countries, but especially in the Americas. And he was saying to District Governor-elect Elaine Hernandez that they were recently in Orlando, and I happen to know they were not at Disney. They were actually at the meeting of all the district governor-elects, and at one point Gerardo took the floor and talked about how human mobility and migration is something that unites us all, that all of our communities are impacted by human mobility. And this particular photo is taken in a community called Tehuantepec, which is where the folks start riding the infamous Bestia, the beast, that the train that comes, and many of us have seen images of people just holding on to the tops of these trains. And we know the number of lives that are lost. Gerardo was saying he did not want to share more graphic images because of his sensibilities, and we've seen those images. We've seen them in the news. We've seen them in movies that have been filmed about this. And so there's a call to all of us to get involved in, as we were saying with the previous slide, strengthening our local communities and the safety and security, so that people, if they leave for other reasons, to work, to go to school, right? And but also there will always be people that will leave, and we need to work hard to make sure that the journey is taken on with safety and with dignity. Adelante, Gerardo, continúa.
Gracias. Y bueno, los Rotarios Unidos, ahí vemos otras imágenes de estos casos en Tehuantepec, donde inclusive la escuela Paul Harris, una escuela fundada hace 30 años, se ha convertido en un centro de atención a migrantes, donde se da apoyo legal, psicológico, alimentación, como decía, e inclusive ustedes saben que pues, las escuelas, la infraestructura escolar, pues tiene servicios sanitarios, aulas, espacios que pueden utilizarse en ciertos momentos para, como refugios. Y bueno, la mano de Paul Harris está en Tehuantepec.
This is the image of a school in Tehuantepec named after Rotary founder Paul Harris, and they offer, in addition to the regular educational programming, they offer mental health services and other kinds of services. So you can see the hands of Rotary really involved in many different spaces.
La que sigue. Y esta es una segunda historia en Tapachula, un joven rotaractiano de Venezuela estaba haciendo su ruta para llegar a los Estados Unidos y cuando vio nuestro emblema de la rueda rotaria, se sintió realmente apoyado y con mucho cariño. Los rotarios de Tapachula lo ayudaron y él, lejos de acelerar su viaje, prefirió quedarse durante una temporada muy importante para ayudar a sus hermanos no solo de Venezuela, sino de diferentes países. Y ahí pues se mostró el cariño a Rotary y el deseo de servir. Hoy ya él concluyó su etapa de apoyo y ya está en Estados Unidos, pero es una historia que se da solo por reencontrar hermanos rotarios en el camino.
Gracias, Gerardo. This is a beautiful story of a different nature. This is a young man from Venezuela who happened to be a member of a Rotaract club in Venezuela, and he was on his own migration journey. And when he saw their Rotary sign, he sought them out and inquired, and the Rotary community there really came together to support him. And he was felt so welcomed and so moved that he actually delayed his journey and stayed there for a time, helping other immigrants coming through from Venezuela and from other countries. And it shows the power of community, and Rotary is a community. And today, this young man has concluded his journey, and he is now in the United States. But the memories of that time stay with everybody. How the community came together to support one of their own, and then together supporting everybody else that was coming through.
Muy bien, la siguiente, creo que estamos ya por terminar. Bueno, es muy importante, hay ejemplos muy concretos de proyectos y, bueno, concluiría yo con, si quieres poner la próxima, para no abusar del tiempo, pero es muy importante invitar. Nosotros en nuestro programa que iniciaremos el próximo 1 de julio, tenemos como una prioridad crear nuestro grupo de acción de Rotary para refugiados, desplazados e inmigrantes. Es una prioridad del distrito. Gracias, Elaine, gracias, Luis, gracias a todos, porque justo nos identificamos con este tema. Es parte de nuestro día a día en nuestra región y esperemos que el año que entra tengamos un webinar como el de hoy. Yo le pediría a Elaine que ya se programe y ahí presentemos los resultados de esta iniciativa que ustedes nos invitaron a formar parte. Muchas gracias y yo invito a los demás gobernadores a que formen su grupo de acción rotaria en su distrito.
Muchísimas gracias, Gerardo, por esa presentación tan emotiva. You know, truly, Rotary is a community, and we come together and we make a difference. And I can't wait to see how Peter's going to tie this all together. So I know he's taking notes furiously over there. So our next presenter is Leslie Baird Dinkle from the Rotary Club of Huntington Beach in California. Leslie is the CEO of Local Hope USA and author of Hope Dancing, Finding Purpose and a Place to Serve Among the Maya. And the title of her presentation is Partnering for Long-Term Impact. Leslie, it'll take me a few seconds to load it up. So if you want to just go ahead and get started.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be among this group of presenters talking about these really important issues for us today. I am fortunate to get to be a full-time Rotarian and a full-time volunteer with an organization that does work in Guatemala. And so I'll be talking with two hats on today. The organization has worked as a cooperating organization on a number of Rotary grants. So if you can go to the next slide. So I'm going to have a two-part presentation today. The first part, I'll focus on how cooperating organization partnerships help to ensure sustainable impacts, and also how there's benefits to Rotarians, cooperating organizations, and the beneficiaries. And lastly, I'll talk about the idea of incubating startup organizations and how that multiplies our impacts. Next slide. So those of you who've worked on global grants before understand that there's what's called a cooperating organization can also be used to help enhance the impacts of a grant. Sometimes they're a nonprofit organization that has an expertise within a Rotary area of focus. The nonprofit or cooperating organization may be located directly in the underserved area. A lot of times Rotary clubs are not located, or the participants are not really located exactly in the area that needs the service. It can also be a community, a corporate, or government organization. In our example, the name of our nonprofit is Local Hope. We're a federally incorporated 501c3. We were established in 1992 in part with advice from Rotarians who suggested that we don't focus on charity, but rather on community development. And as you can see, our mission is parallel with the Rotary mission to partner with individuals and communities to become healthy, educated, and self-reliant. And so you see the health, education, and economic development pieces right in the mission statement. Next slide. So what I found wearing both hats is that partnering is really a triple win, because it increases the impacts of Rotary and Rotarians. It increases the collaborating organization's impacts. And of course, most importantly, it increases the service to beneficiaries. And the picture that you see is just one small example of how I've seen this play out over 4 global grants. In the left picture, you see a tiny computer lab with 3 computers that was serving a small number of folks, and that was scaled up. So originally there were 15 students a week being served by a computer lab, and through a global grant called Project Connect, that lab was able to be scaled up to 25 computers, serving 600 children a week. And I think if you hit click, that might have been an animation on there, Luis. There it is. Yeah. So that lab is still operating. It was constructed with a Rotary Global Grant in 2020 as an emergency grant to get kids back to school, because all schools were closed down in Guatemala, and only 15% of children in the country had computers. So this global grant was enacted in an amazing 6 months and got 600 kids back to school. There are still 600 kids a week plus 30 teachers a week using this lab. Next slide. So everybody brings something to the table, and what we as Rotarians obviously bring to the table is funding, number one, and the tremendous power of Rotary, including a 300% match or multiplier for global grants. So when you donate $10,000, it turns into almost 30,000. So 28,000, it's actually 2.8 right now, depending on the district. A lot of expertise, the professional knowledge and experience of individuals, the RAGs, and also cadre experts. So that's a huge win for the nonprofit that's working in the region. And obviously, as you see on the right-hand side of the screen, the hardworking and enthusiastic volunteers. This is a picture actually taken during a food handout, emergency food for a village, where the nonprofit Local Hope partnered with Rotarians who had come down to visit to bring food to a village that was starving. There were starving people in the village. Next slide. What cooperating organizations that are on the ground 24/7 bring to the partnership is the local experience and credibility with the community also. So Local Hope, for example, has been established for 33 years. So when about 10 years ago, some Rotarians arrived in the village, even though they lived only 20 miles away, they had never been to an impoverished village. So the Local Hope helped introduce them to the problems of that community. Also understanding local culture. I'm going to share with you a story in a minute about cultural misunderstandings that can take place when Rotarians are not part of the actual culture, in this case, an indigenous culture in the community. Also, a cooperating organization is going to have paid staff so that they can be there for daily oversight, accountability, and reporting, and helping to support the Rotary action, and of course, staying power. So if you are working with a well-established, well-funded nonprofit, they can carry on so that the impacts of the grant can be sustainable over a long period of time. Next slide. So I'm going to give you 3 brief examples about how a cooperating organization, in our case, added value to Rotary projects, and how working together we had much better impacts than we ever could have had alone. The first one was an outhouse project. The second one was an emergency food project during COVID. And the third is a project that is ongoing, a healthcare project that you're actually going to hear more about from Karen Yoshino when she speaks. Next slide. So first of all, a cooperating organization that's embedded in the community can help avoid costly mistakes. And so I'm going to share with you one of our costly mistakes when we landed in this village in 1993. And it appeared to all of us with our eyes that this community needed outhouses, that every single house there needed an outhouse because they didn't have one. And of course, when we asked community leaders, they were very kind and said, yes, yes, please build us outhouses. So we built 30 outhouses. But then we returned about a year later, and all of the outhouses had been converted to either chicken coops, as you see on the right, or storage sheds. And that's when we asked the community leaders what happened. They said, well, we could tell that you really wanted to build these outhouses, but we used the cornfield, so we didn't want to be rude and thank you for building them. So there was a very huge cultural misunderstanding going in, and over 33 years of working, we now understand how to do needs assessments and let the needs come from the communities. But in 2013, we got wind of a Rotary Club that was going to do an outhouse project. By partnering together and sharing our information, we were able to help them avoid a costly mistake. and actually do a stove project that was really wanted and needed. Next slide. Also, cooperating organizations are great partners in local emergencies, and we know Rotarians are wonderful partners in local emergencies. In this example, the Quetzaltenango Rotary Club saw the need to do an emergency food drive, and their goal was to raise $10,000 for food for families at risk. We convened with them. We had the same goal, and we combined our resources, and Local Hope also solicited its contacts. And together, in very short order, we were able to each raise half of the $10,000. And then Local Hope on the ground helped the Rotarians who live 30 miles away in an area that wasn't as hard hit, help those Rotarians identify the neediest rural families because we're embedded in the community. Next. Also, for amplifying and for sustainable outcomes. So right now we're in the midst of a global grant called Health for All. And instead of starting from scratch, this global grant was able to build on the knowledge base of our 18-year operation of a community clinic to really understand going in the needs of the village. The Rotary grant scaled up the clinic in amazing ways that you'll hear more about. To the right, you can see that there's an X-ray machine now operating in the community. This grant added all kinds of enhancements and has scaled up the capacity of the clinic by 300%. Now, the exciting part is these gains will be sustainable because our organization has committed post-grant to the $85,000 a year that's necessary to continue to support all of the new positions, the new technology, et cetera. So it's really, really a great partnership, that triple win for Rotarians and all of these impacts, the cooperating organization, and of course, the people who are really benefiting is this community of about 35,000 people. Next slide. Also, we've heard a lot of people talk about the need right now for advocacy and partnering, and we're obviously more impactful together if we combine our efforts to improve quality of life and combine our reach to influence policies that will make long-term change. We're much more effective together. So we have a greatly improved chance for long-term sustainable outcomes and systemic success if we work together. Next slide. The next thing I'm going to talk about briefly is the idea of incubating startups. And I'm specifically talking about startup organizations that have a mission that is parallel to Rotary's mission. So, or in our case, our mission, Local Hope's mission, which is also parallel to Rotary. So incubating helps others avoid costly mistakes like we saw in that one example. It's a very low or no cost to do. It will also extend your mission reach to places that you never would have been able to reach on your own. And it adds values to the donors because I can take donor money and share my expertise and multiply the impact of that donor support. And in our case, the case of Local Hope, incubating is actually paying it forward. Because when we were a small organization starting out, we were incubated as a project line item in a church budget. And the reason that we were able to succeed was because we were incubated for 10 years and didn't have the burden of the tax filings and all of the other paperwork that kills nonprofits. Next. So what does it mean exactly to incubate? The way that we've defined it is sharing our knowledge and experience base. So a lot of training with if somebody who is trying to launch a startup, also sharing our legal and administrative templates. Instead of them reinventing the wheel, we'll share with them all of what we had to develop, best practices, maybe filings, legal templates. Also, we offer them a project status under our 501c3 umbrella. So that project becomes a line item in our budget. Funds that are received on behalf of that organization are restricted to that line item, and it relieves the burden of them having to secure a formal nonprofit status and the cost and time of tax filings. We also provide a fundraising landing page on our website because, as any of you who've done it know, it's costly to have a fundraising platform, but it costs almost nothing except a little time to add a landing page where they can also raise money, and at no risk to our organization because that landing page is blind. When someone comes to our website, they cannot find that page. That page can only be found when the person who's fundraising directs that potential donor to that page. And I'm going to show you how in a minute. And also, if you want, you can even provide some seed or scale up funding, which we have also done. And it's not a lot, but it helps get them started. Next slide. And why do we need to do this, or why would we want to do this? The fact is that in the very first year, only half of all nonprofit organizations survive. So there's a very high failure rate for those who want to do good, just like us. By year 3, only 30% are still in existence. And when polled, 40% say that they have failed because of the lack of adequate finances and resources. It actually takes 5 years for a nonprofit to be out of the danger zone. So our conclusion is that sharing our knowledge, our administrative support, and our fundraising infrastructure really can be a lifeline for other help organizations. Imagine how much we can improve that year 1 survival number, just like it was improved for us. Next slide. These, I just wanted to share with you some examples of projects Local Hope has successfully incubated over the years. First, a project in Rwanda that is an orphanage and school, which is actually now morphed to also deal and provide services to people with disabilities. It's called Jesse's Place, and all these years later, it is still in operation. I looked it up on the website last night to make sure of that, and it's actually still impacting about 60 orphan children, plus others with special needs each year. In Cuba in 2002, we provided support for a family farms project that actually had a lot to do with local food supply, and we supplied technical advice to that project, for example, about culturally and locationally appropriate farm equipment because of the lack of being able to repair it, and some other advice that we gave. Still going on today, we're currently still incubating a project in Peru that it's a study center that impacts 25 children. I'm going to show you a picture of that in a minute. And this past year, we launched another incubation in Botswana of a study center and a school for traditional storytelling that's keeping the culture, the Botswanan culture alive. And 10 children now are impacted. And then it's potential, we're working with Elaine on potentially doing some incubation actually with Rotary clubs that don't have 501c3 status, so that donations received could still be written off by the people who are making the donations. So that's a very exciting potential. And then, yes, next slide. So this is just an image for you of our website for Peru Ancestral Hope, which is, we are incubating in Peru. This is page 1. And if you see that little card down to the right, that's a business card that we provided. And she can show that, hand that business card out. They scan that QR code and it takes them directly to this fundraising page. Like I said, you can't see this page from our website. Next slide. And on this page, we keep this up for her. There are different opportunities for how people can give. So in this case, funding for teachers, academic and art teachers, and learning supplies, but there's many other needs listed on her fundraising page, and it's the same with the Botswanan project. So there's absolutely no risk to us, and it does cost us $10 a month to send the money to Peru or Botswana, but we think that the impact and extension of our mission is well worth the effort. Next slide. So in conclusion, in our experience, we found that partnering with mission parallel organizations is absolutely the highest and best use of our resources and our donors' resources. And it's the most efficient and effective approach to long-term, sustainable, systemic change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leslie, for the presentation, but also for all that incredible work that you're doing. And last, but certainly not least, our final panelist is Karen Yoshino, educational consultant and vice chair of the board of directors and advisors for Local Hope. Her presentation is Guatemala Thrive, Global Grants that provide greater benefit than the sum of their parts. Karen, it'll take me a few seconds to load your slides. If you want to just go ahead and start chatting.
Sure. So good morning. Well, it's morning for me in Pasadena, but good morning from Pasadena. I'm going to take you this morning to the highlands of rural Guatemala and talk about some of those projects that Leslie had mentioned and give you a little more insight. I'm going to apologize in advance to Luis, as he may get hand cramps from the number of click-throughs that I'm going to request during my presentation, Luis.
Not a problem.
Today I'm going to share the highlights of 4 global grants resulting from the extraordinary partnership between Rotary and Local Hope, Sheila A. Next. These 4 grants, I'm going to give you the official titles. In 2017, we did San Martin Thrive Wash Initiative, which involved water, sanitation, and hand washing stations. In 2018, we did the M&M Preschool Project, which stands for Modeling the Montessori Method in Critically Underserved Communities. In 2020, we did Project Connect. Leslie told you a bit about that, but I'm going to give you a little more detail. This was a rapid response grant ensuring equal educational access to underserved Indigenous youth. And in 2023, we did the Health for All. Again, Leslie gave the highlights, and I'm going to take a little more time with that. Ensuring healthcare access and equality in rural Guatemala. So you can see that we're talking about education, we're talking about health. And at the very end, I'm going to talk about our next endeavor as well. My goal today is to give you a sense of how Rotarians are putting hope in action and truly transforming lives. Next. For these 4 grants, 5 clubs took leadership roles. Next, please. The Quetzaltenango Club in Guatemala was the host. Avalon, Anaheim Hills, Placentia, and Huntington Beach in California were the sponsoring Rotaries. In all, 20 clubs coming together to make these grants happen. Next, please. The first global grant grew from a Rotary assessment of 19 schools in the project region. The problems they found included inadequate or no restrooms on the school site, no drinking water for the children, no hand washing stations. In the same region, 300 families had no clean drinking water. This is an example, what you see here, of what existing facilities at these schools looked like. Next. Adriana was just one of thousands of children. Next. At these impacted sites. She was a top student who loved learning, but she began to cry one day when she had to go behind the building Adriana had gotten teased and couldn't bear to return. Her parents ended up taking her out of school. Next. But what happened was Rotarians teamed with partners in Guatemala to retrofit all 19 schools. Next, with restroom units, including hand washing stations and pure drinking water. Next, here are some Rotarians you may recognize in front of the beautiful 4-stall unit that was constructed at Adriana's school, where she returned and thrived until she graduated. So Adriana is only one of thousands of children impacted by this Rotary Global Grant. Next, our second example involved retrofitting an existing building to create preschool classrooms. Rotarians learned that the Mayan children who spoke only their native Mam language when they entered first grade were 9 times as likely as their Spanish-speaking counterparts to drop out of school by age 12. And next, that the conditions they were trying to learn in were cold and sterile, not conducive to learning. Rotary clubs came together to create a preschool that would reinforce native languages, speak Spanish, employ the Montessori method proven to give kids a head start, and would be a safe and inviting place for children and trusted by parents. Next, this beautiful classroom is one of 3 that resulted. Next, complete with tiny toddler-friendly restrooms. Next, and meals lovingly prepared so that no child would be in school hungry. You can see more Rotarians at work here and happy customers at the right. Let me stop for a second. Next, as a case in point, meet Jira, age 4. She was a painfully shy child whose parents thought she had a learning delay and whose teachers had given up on her because she was nonverbal. After just a few months in the new Rotary preschool, Jira was literally writing her own little books. She turned out to be a math whiz who could count and add and subtract numbers in the thousands and was declared a prodigy. Next, in our third example, during the pandemic, all schools in Guatemala closed. They reopened online, but only 17% of all students in the country even had computer access. Nearly 0 children in poor rural villages, such as our service region, had computer access. Rotarians quickly responded with a plan and a grant and worked with the local cooperating organization, Local Hope Sheila Aid, to quickly install a COVID-safe computer lab. Leslie talked about this. Next, let's take a look. Materials arrived. Next, construction was underway. Next, and in just 6 months, the time the global grant was written and funds raised. Next, the lab opened, and just in time for kids to start the new school year. Next, within weeks, the 25 computers in this lab were serving 600 students. Next, this brings me to Wilson's success story. Wilson was an extremely bright young man with a degree in computer technology. He couldn't find a job in Guatemala and was on the verge of making the dangerous journey to the United States to find work. Instead, Wilson found a fair wage job in the lab. He's now one of 3 instructors gainfully employed at the computer lab made possible by Rotarians and Rotary. Next, the final global grant I want to talk about was awarded in 2023. Leslie mentioned this as well, to significantly improve the depth and breadth of healthcare available to 30,000 people living in our service region. The grant is still in progress, but so far the grant has made possible. Next, advanced diagnostic equipment, including an X-ray. Sorry, I'm behind you. Okay. Pediatrician, women's health specialist, family medicine, therapist, physical therapist, optometrist, neurologist, dentist, and dental skills. The dentist. That's where Vidal's story comes in. Next. Vidal was born with special needs and bullied as a child. His teeth were knocked out when he was a teenager, but his parents didn't have the resources to seek help for him. Next. The Health for All Global Grant funded both the dentist and this beautiful dental suite you see here. Today, at 30 years old, next, Vidal's life has been transformed. He sobbed with joy when he told the dentist, the best thing is to be able to smile. Next. Before going on to what's next for our joint projects, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the cumulative effect of long-term commitment combined with high-impact grants like the global grants in our service area, and you can see the differences in education and health for our region. Illiteracy, 48% above the general population. School dropout rate by age 12, 80% below the general population. Uncontrolled blood sugar, 71% below the general population. Chronic pain, 47% below the general population. Malnutrition, 99.6% below the general population. What we have yet to tackle is the average daily wage and unemployment. That's our next challenge. We are calling this project Thrive at Home. Next, please. Here's the problem. Net migration in 2000 to 2024 was estimated at 1.4 to 1.6 million. That's 8 to 10% of Guatemala's total population. It's 12% in our target region. Migration to the US robs most motivated youth from villages. It destroys families, leaving children without fathers, mothers, brothers, and uncles. It presents a threat to the very survival of rural villages. Next, Diego's story gives us some insight into what this means in people's lives. As a high school graduate, Diego could not find work. He obligated himself to the tune of $15,000 for transportation to the US. He intended to stay 3 years. It took 3 years to pay off the debt. Now Diego still lives in the US and wants to come home. He has built a home for his mother because his driving force was he did not want to see his mother die on a dirt floor. He supports his mother with US income, but because there are no employment opportunities at home in Guatemala, next, he's still there. So the project on the table today is Thrive at Home, which is about keeping families together by creating economic opportunities in rural Guatemala. Here are the top line points. The host club, once again, Quetzaltenango Rotary. The international sponsor is Villa Park Rotary. The cooperating agent is, Local Hope, Xela 8. This is a $398,000 grant over 3 years, and our goal is to file the grant in January of 2026. Next. So how will Thrive at Home work? We will create a comprehensive economic development hub. Centro de Desarrollo Económico de San Martín, Zacatepeques, CDE, we call it. Through public and private partnerships, CDE will establish successful anchor businesses, develop new small businesses, provide training that will propel job seekers and entrepreneurs to success at home. We will create 500 new fair wage jobs over 3 years and ultimately 2,000 jobs to sustain 10,000 people. Next. And it's coming together. Here you see a rendering of where CDE will live and the partnerships that have come together so far. Next. And we have plans to develop, grow, sustain, and measure. You can learn more about Thrive at Home online with this QR code. Let me stop there and let me thank you for allowing me to present this information to you.
Thank you, Karen. It's truly impressive what we can accomplish when we all come together, the power of Rotary in our numbers. And so bringing this all together and providing some concluding remarks is Peter Kyle from the Rotary Club of Annapolis, who is a former Rotary International Director. Peter, you have the floor.
Well, thank you, Luis, and thank you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. What a rich webinar we've had today. I want to start by saying how thrilled I am, how impressed I am that 3 district governor-elects have come together. I hope that partnership will continue during your respective district governor years. I think it will, as I look at the smiles on the screen. And I love the fact that representatives of 2 cooperating organizations have contributed also to this webinar. This has really been a most exciting presentation. So all credit to, I guess, Elaine and perhaps all the others who have served as panelists. I think we're all the better for the good news stories that we've heard today. Wonderful to get some good news these days. I won't go through all the presentations. I loved hearing about the farm program, Elaine, that you're running. I could see all sorts of opportunities to replicate this program in other parts of the Rotary world. So I hope at some stage you write it up and you broadcast the success. I love the fact that the young man who said, you always say yes. He has the potential to be a Rotarian, because in Rotary, you always say yes as well. So he's on the right course. Alma Garcia, talking about Mexico, the environmental disaster, talking about how Rotary addresses immediate short-term and long-term needs and how to go about assisting with disasters, and the story of the flooding in the town of Reynosa. Really quite remarkable, and what Rotary is doing there. And I started to write down that help when you can, encourage when you can. I'll have to go back to my notes, but I love that phrase, help when you can, do something when you can, encourage when you can. So when Rotary's tired of service above self as the theme, you might want to promote that concept, because I think that brings together a lot of what Rotarians are all about. So thank you for that contribution. Then we went to the 3rd District Governor-elect, Gerardo Juarez from Oaxaca. I had a few days in Oaxaca last year. What a wonderful city. So good memories of that part of the world. And Gerardo talked about the complexity of migration. And we all know migration is very complex, but that's no reason why we can't contribute. And Rotary, in all sorts of ways, is doing a lot. I'm very familiar with some projects in Europe where Rotarians are actively involved in helping migrants in Europe adapt, learning the language, learning to cook, learning to survive. Small contributions which Rotarians are making all around the world to the migrant community. And the point you made, Gerardo, was if there is safety at home, migrants will stay. I was impressed with your statistic I think if I remember correctly, you said that one of the southern states that has the least number of people leaving is also the safest. And there's a lesson there for all of us, the power of connectivity. And then we went to the representatives from the cooperating organizations, Leslie Dinkle, talking about how Rotary can work with cooperating organizations. Of course, we do that a lot, but you've given some great examples, Leslie, of how that can happen in practice. You talked about the outhouse situation, being converted to chicken coops. I couldn't help but smile because I've seen things like that happening. Hopefully that doesn't happen any more. Food at risk and the other projects that you mentioned, and the benefits of combining efforts and combining reach. And then you talked about incubating startups. That's something I hadn't really thought about, but that's a great initiative. As you pointed out, there are many people, many organizations who want to do something, but they're not quite sure how to go about it, and they don't necessarily have the expertise or the resources to get it off the ground. So coming in under the umbrella of an organization such as yours, avoiding the need for the paperwork associated with a 501c3 and all the other complexities of starting up a small organization, I think this was a great initiative, and I loved hearing about your experience with startups in different parts of the world, in Africa, different parts of the world. And finally, I'm rushing through this because we're running out of time. We heard from Karen Oshino, Local Hope, Guatemala Thrive. There are many Rotary projects in Guatemala. And I loved hearing about the four global grants that you're doing, Karen. What I really liked was the human interest stories. Adriana, Gira, Wilson, Vidal, Diego, each one of them was a very powerful story. And we all relate to individual stories. So thank you for sharing your experience with those individuals and the concept of Thrive at Home. So congratulations to all. Special thanks to Luis for his masterly Master of Ceremonies, and to the 3 DGEs and the 2 cooperating organizations. It's been a pleasure to be associated with this webinar. I wish you every success, and perhaps I'll see the DGEs in Calgary in a few weeks' time. Thank you, Luis.
Wonderful. Thank you, Peter. We started about 10 minutes late, so we have a few minutes to spare. And if any of the panelists want to also say any final comments or final remarks, I see Dr. Hernandez has her hands up. Jump right in.
I want to start with a book, Hope Dancing. This is an amazing book written by Leslie, our panelist today, and I do recommend everyone to look this up and read it. It's a stunning story, a hard to put down book. It's really remarkable. And just to see the powerful stories that were being told today, I want to be able to link it to Allison and to the Rotary Action Group on Peace, and actually ask Allison to sort of maybe say a few comments on how RAGs can work together and how all of these stories that we've been telling today are really part of peacekeeping.
Thank you, Elaine. Well, I've been making copious notes. If you will get an email from YP Allison, please open it, because I'm touching base with you. There is so much synergy in what we're all doing. And as you talked about the incubating projects, we need to do that with sharing our own expertise, best practices, and platforms that we have, because together we're strongest. And I think we've moved away from years ago, and I was guilty of it, this competition, wanted our club to be the best. Well, no, we're the best together, and we're the strongest when we're together, and we've got huge expertise. I was also very taken on the migration issues, because that's all over the world, and that's an area I work in here in Wales, along with prisoners. We call it people seeking sanctuary. The real challenge in that is that as you work with a particular grouping, you then have to look at where that grouping is situated, the local population, to make sure that they're getting something as well. So I bring this knowledge from Africa when I was working in HIV and working with the spontaneous immigrants now. For instance, when the Syrians, Afghans, and Ukrainians came in, they had a different playing field to the spontaneous. That brought about some resentments. There's some resentments in local communities that they see that the spontaneous are being housed in hotels and so on, irrespective of all of the mechanics of it. So it's just trying to make sure, as you're dealing with one grouping, as we say with our global grants, you try to ameliorate any losses by another to include everyone. So, and Elaine, we've got someone from Bradford Peace Center that's got this dream of a farm in Nigeria. And with your permission, I will connect to Chinaza with you because I think you could help her. So I am really encouraged. And I would say that the Rotary Action Group for Peace, as we in Cadre are, we are open to partnering, open to working together. It's not a question about who owns what. I am willing to use whatever skills and whatever platforms that I have to assist any other project, because in doing that, we're growing Rotary and we're serving the populations in which we're placed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alison. I'm reminded at our district conference just a couple of weeks ago, there were several colleagues actually from Mexico, and one of my colleagues from one of the Reynosa clubs was sharing about the exactly what you said about the competition, and he said something that resonated with me. Said that the presidents in his club were getting away from the language of my year, what I'm going to do in my year. And instead, they're talking about long-term plans, and each president shepherds that effort a little bit further. And I think there's a lesson for all of us to learn here. So, anybody else? Any final comments before we wrap it up?
I just want to say thank you very much, Lane. Thank you, Luis. Peter, you always welcome to Oaxaca. You all welcome. And I think we will share these experiences and the presentations. I want to share it with my district president, because I think there is a very, very important project. Thank you, Karen, Leslie, and I think we can see each other. We can see us in Calgary. I hope so. And we love to visit Guatemala and see these beautiful projects. Thank you very much, Karen, and I'll see you there.
Okay.
Luis, what I'm going to do is to quickly promote everybody else remaining to panelists, and then everybody can put the little video on just for 2 minutes, and we can try to take a group picture.
Wonderful.
So the people who are still in the participants, I'll promote you to panelists in case you want to have your pictures as part of everybody.
Thank you.
And everyone that has Elaine Hernandez on their slides, please change your name so we know where you're from.
All right, so how do we do this? We go to gallery, I think, right?
Yeah,
I'm not the best at taking those pictures.
Yeah, you go to view and then
gallery. Okay, so everybody, please put in your video. So we
las
can see it.
cámaras, open your camera so that we can all be in the picture. That'd be fantastic.
Right, and then we will have about 5 or 6 Elaine Hernandez, but that's okay.
Elaine kept sending her link to everybody. So.
I know.
Con cámaras cerradas, si las pueden abrir para que podamos tomar una foto de todo el grupo.
Oscar, and then Ellen 2, Ellen 3, Ellen 4. Oh, there's an Ellen who is a man. Okay. Okay. In 2 seconds, we'll take the pictures. I'll take it. Maybe Ellen, you take it too, so that we can have a good one. Thank you, everybody. Luis, back to you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Muchísimas gracias. I mean, this has been really a truly inspirational webinar. The work that all of us are doing all over the world is truly remarkable. And it reminds us that, you know, Rotary is a global community of 1.2, 1.4 million people, depending on how you count us. But our greatest impact is in our local communities. And we are definitely changing the world, but we're doing it one community at a time. So let's keep this work going, and let's all keep working together. Dr. Hernandez, I'm going to give you the final word.
And thank you also to the Rotary Action Group on refugees, forced displacement and migration. And we want to encourage everyone to also join that Rotary Action Group. And so hopefully we will grow our membership in that. And plus we have the Rotary Fellowship for Global Development that partners also with the Rotary Action Group. So welcome to everyone, and many thanks to all of you for joining us today. There's a lot of work to be done, but look where we start. We start with friendships and getting to know each other. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luis, for the invitation.
Gracias, hasta
Bye.
luego.
Que tengan un fin de semana maravilloso, todos y todas.
Igualmente, saludos a todos. Mi nombre es Martín Aranda, entré con esa, no pude cambiarlo.
We have a little problem with the time. 10, but
we are everybody, Elaine. Thank you very much.
Gracias, gracias.
Bye.
Encontrar un
Muy
tiempo
bien.
ideal por las diferentes zonas, estamos por todo el mundo. So, lo que vamos a hacer es que lo vamos a alterar, esto ya lo habíamos hablado. We're going to change the times around to accommodate. So today, you know, those of us that are in the United States are either Pacific or Mountain or Central or Eastern time, and many of our colleagues are way ahead. The next time we'll get up in the middle of the night so we can do it in the middle of the day for other folks. So,
All right.
that's
Thank you,
how we
everybody.
roll.
Bye-bye.
Saludos, bye.
Luis, una
Adiós.
pregunta para ti. ¿Cómo nos podemos comunicar con ciertos panelistas que presentaron hoy?
En el flyer, Elaine, en el flyer están la información de contacto de los diferentes panelistas.
No, but could we write our contact names in the chat?
Yes, if everybody write your emails in the chat, and I'll save the chat, and then we can distribute everybody's contact info. Por favor, escriban sus nombres y correos electrónicos en el chat, y yo guardo el chat y mandamos un correo a todo el mundo con la información de contacto de todos los que participaron.
muy bien,
Gracias.
Muchas gracias a todos los de
Gracias.
41.
Gracias.
Bye.
Gracias, saludos, Bricia.
Saludos, Gerardo, Alma,
Saludos.
Elaine. Saludos.
I will save
Saludos.
the chat before I end the call, because I'm the host. So, Quentin, maybe.
Thank you for bringing such a great number of opinion leaders together and subject matter experts. This has been truly eventful and very helpful for the future and for the now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
For all the work you've
Así
done.
es, Sam.
Thanks, Elaine. Speak soon.
Yes. Allison will join us at our binational or international peace summit that we're planning for October with Alma and our colleagues in Mexico and around the world. So we'll be back in touch with you regarding that.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
All righty, goodbye. All right, I'm going to save the chat now. There it is. And then I'm going to end. Everybody have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye bye, you too. Bye.
Igual.